Okay. Oh, Mirio, God. Hey, y'all! Welcome back to another episode of the Shonen Showtunes Interview Series, where I interview voice actors about their experiences with theater. This episode, I have the fabulous Sarah Roach as my guest, who you might know as Maki from Fire Force or Meryl Streif from Trigun Stampede. Before we get started with the interview, if you want to know more about the Shonen Showtunes project, I have a link down in the description to the official webpage. All right, now that all that intro's out of the way, let's get into it. All right, let us begin at the beginning. Do you remember the very first stage performance you were ever a part of?
I do. It's a little weird. I was in second grade and it was like just this it wasn't like a real show. It was like this
Right.
compilation of like weird songs that were written for like 7-year-olds to sing.
Yeah.
So I got a solo that was about like how great Martha Stewart is and like how much I wanted to be like her. Meanwhile, this was like 2001, so like right after she was arrested. Um so that was awesome, but I was like, this is great. I love doing this. And so then like the first real show I ever did was when I was 10 and it was Alice in Wonderland. And I got to be Alice. But I was like, the first thing I ever sang was like, oh, I wish I could be like Martha. It's Martha that I love. It was like, I don't know. It was
Of
pretty cool.
course. Such timing. That's so
Yeah. It was
I wonder
they
what
like
the
and they felt
parents,
like they
yeah.
had to put in a thing at the end that was like, just so you know, like we don't condone Martha's actions. And I
All
was
these
like,
7-year-olds are like, what? I don't know.
what? Yeah.
So when abouts did dance start coming into play, and how would you say that it's changed in your life since it first took your first class?
Yeah. So I started dance when I was 2. And,
Yeah.
and then I started competition dance when I was 4.
Word. Okay.
Um, so I really was like dancing my whole life, before I even had like awareness that I was a person.
Right.
And so I did that all throughout like school, all throughout college. Um, and now I don't do like regular dance classes as much anymore, but like after college, I started getting into like aerial. So like aerial hammock, like silks, pole, all that kind of stuff. But it's always just been like the one thing where I can like put everything at the door and then just like go to dance class and like I don't know, it's a constant for me, and I think it was kind of initially what got me into like it was I guess the first like stage I ever was on was for my little ballerina dance where I had a teddy bear with a tutu and I was like not knowing the choreography. Um but yeah, it's just I always come back to dance, and so that's part of the reason why I love musical theater so much too, is because it combines like all of the things I love.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Okay, so that's like a perfect segue into we're rewind just a little bit to high school.
Yeah.
Sort of a dancer forward role. You went to the MFing Jimmy Awards for
Yes, I
playing
did.
Robert Kelly. Let's talk about that.
It
So
was
that's like when
so fun.
I can't even imagine. You and Renee Rapp have something in common. How exciting is that?
I know. It's so crazy. Um,
So what when in high school did this happen? And can you talk about like from knowing that Chicago was the show next year to auditioning to all that, all the typical high school drama? Let's get into it.
yeah. Okay, so Velma Kelly had been like a dream role of mine. And a couple so this was it was our senior year. She
Okay.
announced that the show for
It's
senior
time.
year was going to be Chicago. So we were kind of like, who's it going to be? And it was like I mean, it was just so I was in charge of like some of my choreography. So like when Velma takes the stand, I was looking at like original choreography from like BB Newirth and kind of
Mm-hmm.
like interpreting that into my own thing. And it was so like I really threw myself into it. I was 18. I was like I had just been accepted into like college for musical theater, so I was like, let's go. Um, so we did the show. It was so fun. It was like I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I ended up winning the Jimmy Award for Best Actress in a High School Musical, which was insane. And they sent us to New York, and so we stayed in the NYU dorms. We had like sunrise to sunset workshops with like Broadway directors and producers and all this stuff like all week, and then got to perform at the Minskoff at the end of the
Yeah.
week, which was where I saw my first musical when I was like 11, when I saw The Lion King. So it was like this full circle thing. And like they had all the Lion King like puppets backstage, and like we weren't supposed to touch, but we were looking really
Yeah, but
close.
we were looking.
We were looking. And it was so fun. And like Eva Noblezada was in our like my singing group. And so like we got to know each other that way. And like I'm still acquaintances with like so many people that I met during that, which was so fun. Um, and yeah, it was just like it was such a great experience, and I met so many people and learned so many things, and was just like it was just such a good confirmation for me that I had like made the right choice in what I was going to college for, and that it was that was what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, dude, I can't even imagine how affirming that is to like be in like the place
Yeah,
where it happens, and
it was so
like especially in
cool.
your senior year like that. I'm proud of you. That's so sick. That's so
Thank
cool.
you.
So, had you had any formal training before, like in musical theater, let's say, like more less dance, more so singing and acting before getting into college, or did it really start with college?
Yeah, I did. I originally, after I kind of started doing those couple of plays when I was like 7, um, I was like, I want to be in film and TV. So I
Okay,
started
word.
taking I started taking on-camera classes until I was like maybe 14. And then when I got to high school, they were like, okay, audition for the musical, it's Les Mis. I was like, okay. So then I moved back into theater, and started doing theater training, and then went to college, majored in theater acting, um, and then started taking voiceover classes, which I think we'll get into later, but
Right, right. That is, let's see, that is almost, well, we got 2 questions before that on my little list.
sick.
Spoiler alert,
Okay.
everybody, I have a list, okay? I'm not that cool to just have it on my head yet. Um, so when was the first time that you got paid for a stage or live performance gig?
So if you believe it, I've never actually done professional live performance. Because so soon after college, I kind of fell into voiceover and got
Mhm.
like swept up. And I've only just recently gotten like steady on my feet. And so this year, my goal is to get back into like live production.
Let's
Um,
go. I love to
but
hear
yeah,
that.
I'm
Okay.
stoked.
Oh man, that this is gonna distract me. I'm so thrilled to hear that. Excellent. So it was right after college when voiceover started happening. Did you
Yeah.
start with what kind of like did you start in classes and then it was like through meeting people? What was your journey from theater into voiceover?
Yeah. So right after college, I had this shiny new theater degree that I was like, what do I do with this? Um, so I somehow heard about Steve Bloom was creating like a just like a group, like a community on Facebook, and he was one of my favorite voice actors growing up because I was a huge anime Toonami fan. And he was having this contest for like record yourself reading like an excerpt of a storybook. And so I was like, I'll enter. I think it was like Miss Nelson is Missing was the book that I
Uh-huh.
that I read. And I ended up winning the contest. And I was like, maybe I want to start looking into voiceover as like an option. So I started taking classes with like as many of the Funimation actors as I could in the area.
Because you
Um
were here, right?
yeah, so
Okay.
I've lived in Dallas my whole life. I went to
Gotcha.
school in
Okay.
California and then moved back home.
Mhm.
Um, and then I found out like, oh, Funimation is like 20 minutes from where I live.
Yeah.
So I just started taking classes. I ended up getting really lucky and taking a class with someone who pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, do you have a demo? I would like to send it to Funimation." I was like,
Right.
I have a commercial demo. Is that okay?" She was like, "That's fine." So I ended up starting doing like Walla. I think my first Walla session was with Jade Saxton, and it was on a show called like Endro or something, and it was
Mhm.
at like 9 p.m. I was like, this is so weird. Um, and so I did Walla for a little bit, and then I took a class with Kyle Phillips, who a couple of months later started casting for Fire Force.
Uh-huh.
And the Japanese voice actress for Maki, it was her first role in that show. So we kind of wanted to mimic that with someone who had acting experience, but not necessarily like anime experience. So I happened to be in the right place at the right time. I did a live audition, which was so
Yeah.
pre
Throwback to
2020.
that, right?
And I booked it. And so I just kind of fell into it, and I've just been doing that ever since. And I love it. I was like, the more I took the classes, I was like, I love this so much. Like it feels similar to theater to me in a way, but
Hmm.
it's also like, I was like, oh, I'm not limited by like what I look like. Like I can play literally any character. So
Hmm.
I fell into it and I love it.
Mm-hmm. So how early in your life did anime like become when were you aware of anime? Were you a fan before getting into voiceover, or was it sort of like as you got into voiceover anime came in? What was your story with that?
So I was like I watched Dragon Ball and Pokemon like everybody growing
Mhm.
up. But I really started getting into it when I was like 9 when I got into Naruto,
Uh-huh.
which I still love. Um, and I started watching Toonami and like I had pictures of like Death Note characters in my locker and like
Yeah, let's go.
I was really into it to like a little bit of a too high degree. But I loved it. And so when I put two and two together after I graduated college, I was like, oh, like people do that as a job. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, let me see what that's about. So it's always been, and I still watch the shows that are coming out just like from a fan perspective too. So it's like, I love it.
It's sick. And it's so weird, like having, have these people that have been in your ears for so many years to be in the same
Yeah.
room as you and now in like some shows with you. I trust me, I'm right there with you, be like, what the heck? That's not
Yeah.
real. You're lying. You're
That's why
fake.
Fire Force was crazy too, because it was like a bunch of actors that I had like heard as a fan, and I was like, oh, what am I
Are you
doing?
sure I should be here?
Yeah.
No, but you blend right in with that freaking show. Are you kidding me? That's
Oh,
like no
thanks.
freaking problem. It's so good. And you would that's
Thank
my favorite
you.
thing too, is like people's first big parts or whatever, and you don't even like you would never be able to tell. They're just like, oh,
Hmm.
I've never heard this voice before, but like they're in the show and they fit in, like
Yeah,
it was good. It was a good choice. Bravo to Kyle also. Great casting choice. Well,
I agree.
all right, moving back to specifically theater, do you have a favorite musical above them all?
So here's the thing about me is I can't pick a favorite of anything. So I'll give you a
Understandable.
couple.
Okay, yes, I,
Um,
I love that.
I love Chicago,
Of
obviously.
course.
It's like I never get tired of it. West Side Story, I think, is one of the best shows ever written,
Hmm.
song, story, whatever. And I also love Rocky Horror. I watch it a
Okay.
lot.
Have you been in it
Yeah.
before?
No, and I want to. I've been to like really fun like showings of it, like community theater showings of it where
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
like dresses up and like participates, but I would really love to be. I would love to be Magenta. That's like,
Word. Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
you would. Absolutely. That tracks. And then are there any dream roles, either in those shows or outside of those shows, that you haven't had a chance to play yet that you would really like to? That are like on
Totally.
your mind actively?
Yeah, I would love to be Marine in Rent.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that. And Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd is
Oh
another that I feel like
man.
would be so fun.
Oh, that is good. I feel like that is I don't want to say a common answer like that it's basic, but like
Yeah.
I say that like basic answers are basic for a reason because it's a really good answer and like everybody wants
Yeah,
to dig into it.
it
That is
is.
that is a really good one. I talked to Ben Phillips
Mhm.
about well, I had him on Shonen Showtunes and he is a big Sondheim Sweeney Todd fan. So maybe
Mhm.
you guys can like sing one of the songs together or something. That would be so good. He's beautiful. He's got a gorgeous voice. He's so good. Okay.
Oh.
Now, if you could cast any of the anime characters that you have played in a musical or play, but
Mhm.
if you, I'm very easier to pick a musical,
Musical.
which character would you choose and who would they play?
So I thought about this a lot, and I think I would choose Meryl Streep from Twilight
Okay.
Stampede. And I think it would be really fun to see her as Annie in Evil Dead. Have you ever seen Evil
Oh,
Dead?
okay. I haven't seen that show, but I'm aware. I'm
It's
aware of. I've seen photos of my friends in
so
that
fun.
show.
It's so fun. Annie's like an archaeologist and like she kind of is like the smart, like she brings all the answers, but she also
Yeah.
has these like really like spunky, like, and also she sings a song and it's called All the Men in My Life Keep Getting Killed by Kandarian
Yes.
Demons.
Yes, I've seen people
Yeah.
perform this song. Okay, yes.
Yeah. I just think it would be fun.
Oh my
I
God.
think she'd be fun.
Yeah, and relevant to her life. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
That's so
True.
good. All right. And for your performance that you would like to share, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. So this is a clip of me as Velma Kelly at the Jimmy Awards.
Yes.
Um, and basically they split us up into medleys. And so we were the last medley of the night. It was all the like spunky female leads. So there was like a Lady of the Lake, there was like Thoroughly Modern Millie, there was Reno Sweeney. And then my song was the last one in the medley. So it was the last song of the night.
Oh, period. They saved the
Yeah,
best for
and
last. That's sick.
was all
That's
that
like the
jazz.
best spot. Wow. Hell yeah.
It really was. So, yeah, this is just a little clip of all that jazz that we worked on, we choreographed. There's a little bit of Fosse choreo in it. And yeah, this was my first ever time on Broadway.
That's so sick. What an intro. Everybody else has something to live up to. All right, let's roll the clip.
Find a flask, we're playing fast and loose. And all that jazz, right up here is where I store the juice. And all that jazz, come on babe, we're gonna brush the sky. I bet you're lucky Lenny never flew so high. 'Cause in the stratosphere, how could he lend an ear to all that? Come on babe, why don't we paint the town?
Bro, the Jimmy Awards. What the heck? Thank you so much again to Sarah for sharing that video and for chatting with me about all things theater. Be sure to follow her on all her social media. I've got links to it all down in the description. Keep an eye out for new role announcements and maybe catch her at a local con. Again, if you want to know more about the Shonen Showtunes project, check out that official webpage for all the stuff that I've got brewing. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again real soon. Bye!
It is a wonderful my life. Please could you kiss my name when the music's over?